Welcome back, friends, and it has been a minute, friends, hasn't it? If you're new to this channel, my name is Ross, and I help people rewrite their stories. And today, the story I want to tell you is where I've been for the past however many days. I know I was hot and heavy pretty much every day, uploading stuff, rambling to you fine people about awareness and mindfulness and my spiritual journey, and then September rolled around and everything just kind of came to a halt, and I think I was depressed. And as luck would have it, September is National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. So we're going to roll that into this as well because unfortunately, with my depression in the past, I have had suicidal ideation. So I didn't really want to talk about all of this, but I feel like this is going to be one of those story time videos, but I'll try to be succinct, which has never been one of my strong points. But this is still going to be a useful video because giving you some of my background, you'll realize why you should listen to me and take my advice. But I don't really know anything. I'm just sharing what has worked for me, and in some cases, what hasn't worked for me. And so my sharing of that is really an attempt to just give out what techniques I find valuable, and the hope is that something I say in one of these rambling videos will resonate with you, and there'll be something that you're going through that is similar to what I've gone through or am going through, and you'll be like, hey, I can try that. That seems easy. Writing for 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes before bed, I can do that. That's like, what, 5 episodes of a Quibi show. So I want to talk about this past month and my depression therein. And it's even strange to say that I was depressed because in the past, depression has presented with ennui and an unwillingness to do anything and just eating a lot and drinking a lot and smoking a lot and just not doing anything. And I certainly did all of those things this past month. I was sleeping until 10, 11, 12, staying up until not super late, but late for me, also 10, 11, or 12, and just sleeping for 12 hours at a time. And everything that I was doing, I was aware that it was related to depression, we'll say, but here's the strange thing. I didn't feel depressed, if that makes sense. In the past, I hadn't done such mindfulness work or was that aware of awareness. And this time I was, and so instead of resisting the depression or resisting what was happening, this lack of energy, this lack of drive, this reluctance to write or make videos or really do anything except sleep and scroll on my phone, was the interesting thing about that was I didn't feel depressed despite exhibiting all of these symptoms of depression. Like, I stopped working out, I stopped doing all the things I enjoyed doing, and I wasn't sad about it. I wasn't feeling bad about it, and I was accepting of it. And that was new for me, and I'm not sure if that caused the depressive spell to last longer than it would have if I'd have been, shoring myself up against it and saying, no, I don't want to be depressed. I want to do things like voice Hobbit movies. So that was very strange to be going through all of this, and I'm still not sure I'm out of it. To do this, I was resisting it all day, and I took a nap earlier. I did get up at my regular time of 4 in the morning, I know, and I was able to work out, and I ate a little bit healthier this morning. So, I'm giving those giving those the points they deserve and not worrying so much about the nap or the lack of drive, because here I am, I'm actually doing something productive, and I'm taking my experience and sharing it with you, which is something that I've always wanted to do with this channel, was to talk about my experience in the hope that it will help someone out there going through something similar. So yeah, it's been a strange month, and part of the inciting incidences for this prolonged depressive state, in my mind at least, I think, was I reconnected with some old friends, some old high school friends, and I was going back through my journal, and it was each weekend I was seeing an old friend, and it was great. And then 2 weekends ago, I went on a trip, to the mountains of Virginia for a friend's birthday, and it was great. It was great being in a new place. It was great seeing people. It was great, not just that group, but the previous weeks. I hung out with my best friend from high school, and we took some great, amazing photos. He's an amazing photographer. I'll link to his stuff down below, and I might even use one of the photos for a thumbnail. If not for this video, then definitely in the future, because he made me look super good, and I am vain, so I appreciate that. That's beside the point, though. The thing was that each weekend was punctuated with these delightful interactions with people that I haven't seen for a long time, not just because of everything that's happening in the world, but just because life and everything like it that tends to happen. And interacting with people face to face, it just reminded me of how much I enjoy people, despite being someone who needs a lot of time to recharge and be on my own, and who has in the past kind of eschewed people or shunned people or the idea of socializing, just because I've really leaned into that introvert label. And as I've learned, introversion doesn't mean shyness. It just means this need to withdraw and reset and recenter. And maybe I'm making this up. Maybe this is a story I'm telling myself, but for me, the idea of that introversion seems to always get in the way of making friends, even in groups of introverts. And for me, I'm thinking, so, okay, I want to be friends, I want to be friendly, I am a friend to people, and that's all great and good, but then there's that other side that, yeah, we can be friends, but know that at a point I'm going to have enough, and it has nothing to do with you, it has everything to do with me, and I'm just going to shut down and just want to have nothing to do with this, and want to go back and sit in my room and stare at the ceiling. And even that sounds like a depressing thing, but it's not. Not most of the time anyway for me. So to be around people that know me and get me and understand that, and then to be taken away from that and then just alone and with my thoughts, it was strange, and I was aware that that was a factor in everything that was adding to my depression. I had an amazing month of weekends punctuated by mundane, run-of-the-mill weeks. So that was the first thing that was contributing to this depressive spell. The second thing was and I haven't talked about this on this channel, I don't think. I've briefly mentioned it on the website. But in September of 2002, my dad sustained a traumatic brain injury. We had a wood-burning stove, and he was up the road cutting fallen timber for the stove. And the story goes that a perfectly healthy tree fell on him, and my mom found him and called 911, and they life-flighted him from my tiny town in southwestern Pennsylvania to Pittsburgh, and it changed him completely. And he looked the same. You know, it was all in here. He had a what was it called? A frontal lobe traumatic brain injury. And the frontal lobe deals with decision making and impulse control and inhibitions. And like I said, he looked the same, but he acted completely different. And that accident shattered our family. And the anniversary of that always brings up unpleasant memories of the time after, and how he would get violent, and how a 15-year-old had to try to control his father. And it was all, it's weird to think about and talk about because it was just my experience. But when I'm able to step back or look at it more clinically, it's not hyperbole to say it was a tragedy, and it doesn't make my experience any less that I went through that. I'm not sure I'm saying that the right way I mean to, but that was not at the forefront of my mind throughout this month, but just kind of back there, floating around, knowing that it could pop up. Fortunately, with this depressive month, I wasn't to the point where I was having suicidal ideation like I had in the past. That first, I had inklings of that, the suicidal ideation in high school, maybe middle school, probably around the time tied to my dad's accident. But I just thought that was how brains worked. I thought that was how everyone thought. I know that's not how brains work now. I know that every brain is different and that there are imbalances. Thought I heard a critter. Just a leaf. But I also am very interested in the idea of depression and other labels like post-traumatic stress as being labels and falling into those patterns. If I say I have depression, then I can also say I am depressed. I can take on that identity. And as we've talked about before here, and I've mentioned on the blog, any identity is the ego trying to hold on to some kind of control. And this is where it gets kind of tricky for me, because in case you noticed, I am not a licensed mental health professional or a licensed I have a license to drive, but that's that's about it. And so the idea that yes, there are chemical imbalances that can occur in the brain. I'm not denying that, and I'm not denying anyone's experience with depression. But at the same time, I am very interested in that idea of depression and other mental health issues as a label. And we can always change the labels. And once we change the labels, we can change our story. So how have I changed my story of being a depressed lump for the last month to sitting here under a tree right now? I wish I could give you a 5-step process of how to go from depressed to not depressed. I've mentioned a few things before: being in nature, talking with people, talking with a professional, eating healthy, getting exercise. All that stuff helps. And even though I wasn't regularly exercising, I tried to get out onto my bike as much as I could and just zip around the city, and that was good. It's always nice to be on the bike. And yeah, I was talking with people, I was with my friends, and that was good. The diet kind of fell off the wayside, but at the same time, when this whole pandemic happened, I didn't stop. There was a week or two right at the outset in March when I was feeling really anxious about everything, but I changed the way I was thinking about it and realized that me getting anxious and worked up over everything that was happening wasn't going to change everything that was happening. All I could do was change how I was reacting to everything that was happening. And I settled into the new normal, as it's being called, and I actually got to a point where I was kind of excited to be able to be living in this time, because everyone is kind of focused on this idea of improving the world, getting better, getting to a place that is more secure than we are right now. And when you have so many people working in their own ways toward betterment, that's going to make for an incredibly better world. And I really am happy to be here experiencing it at this time. But the point I was trying to make with that was, while everyone else, I shouldn't say everyone else, while the majority were having their freakouts and meltdowns and breakdowns, I wanted to say like meltdowns and breakups, but that's not what I meant. Itch, 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 itch. While everyone else was having their meltdowns and anxiety at the beginning of all of this, I kept pushing through. I was working, I was writing, I was starting this channel in its very infancy, just going from that idea that I want to do this to actually making it happen. Took a lot longer than I thought it would, probably because I like to procrastinate. Fast forward to September, and I just felt like it was time for me to have my breakdowns and meltdowns and depressive episodes. And it's not like I was crying every night or hurting myself. I don't do that anymore, and that's something I'm grateful for as well. I guess it is hard for me to talk about some of this stuff just because I guess it is personal, and I know that we don't suffer from what happens to us. We suffer from the stories we tell ourselves about what happens to us, and that the past doesn't exist. Neither does the future. All we have is this moment right now. That's an easy thought to say. Might even be easy to think about, but to actually bring it into use is a bit of a challenge. And that's not all the time, though. It's just usually with these bigger things. Because there were times this past month where I just didn't feel like existing, that I would just wake up whenever, reach over, scroll on my phone until I had to get up and go to the bathroom. I wasn't really hungry, so I would just eat because I knew I had to. Get back in bed, get on my phone, maybe go outside for a walk, maybe post to the website. But it felt like I had no drive, and I've mentioned before here and on the website that it's so important to be on your purpose, to find your purpose, to find that thing that makes your soul sing, and do that above all else. And I didn't really feel that. I didn't feel any interest in writing. And it wasn't a lack of feeling good enough to write, or that my writing wasn't good enough. It just didn't bring me joy the way it used to. And that was, now that I'm talking about it, I think that was the issue with everything. Working out ceased bringing me joy. Making these videos ceased bringing me joy. Doing anything productive or for my own betterment, it completely was joyless. And so I just reverted to this lump that I was in my 20s of just being on my phone, looking at random stuff, getting lost down Reddit holes, and I would think as this was happening, you could be using your time better. This isn't productive, and just doing nothing about that. I felt stuck, and that's a terrible way to feel if you've ever felt that way. And like I said, I wish I could give you some kind of blueprint of how I got to this point today, but it really was just me deciding I don't want to be a lump scrolling my phone anymore. I don't want to be someone who sleeps until noon and then goes to bed at 8. I don't want to be someone who isn't making the most of their life. And the challenge right now is to discover how I can best use my essence, my skills, my uniqueness, whatever you want to call it, to better the lives of others, myself included. I'm fairly certain that if I can find the thing that improves the lives of others, then I will consider my own life improved. And that might be getting dangerously close to putting my happiness toward an external source. But if it's helping other people, I know that'll help me, because it's a great feeling helping people. Friday I was volunteering for the Allies Ball here in Pittsburgh. Ball in a box, they were calling it. People would line up in their cars outside of Soldiers and Sailors in Oakland, and they'd come up and say, I'm so-and-so. I'd run up and grab their food and help them carry their ball in a box to their car. It was masks and party favors and alcohol, and it was great. It was great helping people, being of help to people, and just being around other people who were positive and upbeat and wanted to make a change, make a difference. And it just reinforced that idea of, I know I want to help people. I just don't know how. I don't know the best way to do it. So this is all I got. Me talking to you about stuff that's happened to me, hoping that it resonates and that you can take something from my experience and use it to make yours better. I think that's all I got today. It is National Suicide Prevention Month for another couple days. I will link to information about that down below. If you have been someone who has struggled with suicide, suicidal thoughts, suicidal ideation, I want you to know you're not alone. I want you to know that there are people who love you and care for you, and there are people who can help you. And that might seem insincere coming from some Marlowe rando sitting on a blanket in front of some trees in a cemetery, but you are made for great things. If this year has taught me anything, it's that we all have unique gifts that need to be expressed. Suicide is denying yourself the chance to be the best you can be, to be the best experience. Don't lose hope, my friends. The sun is still shining behind cloudy skies. You are made for great things. I love you, and I want you to express your inner essence to the best of your ability. And I'm going to keep trying to do the same as well. And there may be setbacks, there may be breakdowns, but it's not the breakdowns that define you. It's every time you get up from being knocked down. So get up with me, friends, and let's make the rest of this year, the rest of our lives, great. Because that's what we're here to do. We're here to inspire. We're here to create a better world for all of us. So get to it. That's all I have today, friends. I wish you a day of peace, happiness, and loving kindness. And until next time, remember, be kind, be well, and be yourself. We'll talk soon. I promise.